Okay, so it's super late now, but I need to finish this reading, obviously. So we're just going to do it, and that's going to be what it is. Okay, so I don't know if you've watched the first one. Hopefully you have. And if you didn't just watch it, here's a little reminder of where we're at. Okay. That's what the cards look like right now. What was I even talking about the last? Okay, so we've got rationality, judgment, Three of Wands, not falling for an illusion, trusting your instincts, trusting your intuition, to not fall into a karmic cycle, to not overextend ourselves. We're seeing how we can get to our divine abundance because it's in the reverse right now. We're also seeing how to take on more without it being too much. Or really, what are the right things to take? This is kind of more of like talking about prioritization. Okay. So, first with head and rationality, we have the Page of Swords. I mean, not with head and rationality, but with judgment on this side. Head and rationality is the main point. But we have judgment on the right side, and it is being connected to the Ace of Pentacles in the reverse through the Page of Swords. So first off, it's trusting one's own skills, trusting one's own intuition, trusting one's own strength, one's own capacity, trusting in an adventure, having this adventurous spirit, being free to move as you please because you have this set confidence, this set skill set, this set strength and durability. But it's also a warning to not fall into old cycles. You know, this Abraham Lincoln has been president of Mars for 200 years. Okay, so we're talking about not necessarily, like, that's the embracing the sense of adventure. It's not doing the same thing over and over again. So for me, it's a difficult one because, like, my sense of adventure has always been just to literally adventure. I adventure as if I were playing Skyrim in real life. I adventure like a Lord of the Rings character going to Mordor, where a lot of people's sense of adventure is like, I went to the bar on Friday night. I don't know, like, that's not an adventure to me. It's nothing out of the ordinary. But what this is telling me personally too is that, like, because my sense of adventure is pretty much just to pack everything up, sell all I have, break everything down to just like the bare minimum, and then just go off on the road. It's not necessarily talking about that right now. However, even when I said that, it does sound kind of good. It always sounds good. I love that. But that will potentially lead to a lack of abundance at this point. I'm supposed to have learned from those experiences and like ultimately I did, even the last time too, where it was like, as fun as being on an adventure that way is, as much as you can learn, as much as like it's a wild experience that so few people will ever experience. It also is terribly exhausting. It's frustrating. It's dangerous. You know, it's hard, and it gets to the point, like, I found myself multiple times being like, I don't want to live like this. I don't want this to be my life. And it was a lot harder to manifest in that position. So what we're talking about is like being able to get into that same sort of state of mind, but maybe through different means this time. Okay, using rationality more than emotionality this time. And not falling for the illusion, not falling for this idea that I have to be blind or bound or have to provide for anyone else outside of myself, or even that like I have to be somehow greedy with my own time and energy in order to have these things. We have the King of Swords in the upright. I've seen this card before and I didn't like it before. Right now I'm getting a different vibe from it though. It is the card that we have connected to the Three of Wands. That's connecting us to this Seven of Swords. What did I say? The Seven of Swords is like prioritization, but it's also... it's prioritization. So what I'm seeing from this King of Wands is like, because he's in a junkyard, he himself is junk. And it's kind of this idea that like, okay, there's a couple swords that we don't have to carry and maybe put away. For the longest time, and I had a reading about this too, where it was talking about putting away old defenses in order to move forward, in order to level up. That there's something higher than even that. It's this King of Swords is above this card, which has stairs on it, right, in the background. There's an idea that during a time of conflict, during a period of trauma, I had learned to defend myself with, like, my self-defense was to make myself low. And that really was a defense that served me for a time. In part, it kept me hidden in a way that protected me from those that were, well, really, it protected me from what I would allow for myself until I was ready to actually be in this state of being able to provide for myself and stand up for myself and be confident in my own strength and security. So I treated myself like trash. You know, he has a crown on, so it's like he sees himself truly as something greater than just a heap of junk, but essentially that's what he has become, or what he has made himself. And you know, there's a point where that can benefit, but like ultimately it looks like this, where it's like, okay, now you're king of, what is that? You can have my empire of dirt. It's like just a king of filth, king of rubbish. It kind of is giving me that vibe of like that woman in the labyrinth, that weird, creepy old lady that hoards everything, where she like is covered in trash, and she just has like all of this trash that she's been hoarding for generations, and she like doesn't want to let any of it go, and she like considers it all super valuable, and she like identifies herself by it so much so that like she doesn't even fully recognize that she's just like a walking heap of trash. That's what happens when you continue to make yourself low. So we're looking back on those defense mechanisms, we're looking back on those defense tactics, and we're saying, you know what, maybe we're good with the ones that we have. We've gained new skills, we've learned new things, maybe we can put those things behind us. Maybe those things aren't really, they leveled us up to a point, but maybe they're not going to get us where we're really trying to go. And like, even as you can see in this reading, like I said, like we have the stairs here, right? And it's leading up to this one, but as you can see, like this higher card, the highest card in the whole deck, isn't connected to either of these, right? So not only not only on the receiving end is our highest elevation not going to come through putting ourselves down, it's also not going to come from being overly confident. There really is a balance here. The balance itself is the Knight of Cups on its side, where we're coming from this foundation of having humbled ourselves, but we're moving into a state of being truly confident, but we're balancing out both of those, and it's really not even about those. There's this separate cup that we are holding. There's a whole nother cup that we are holding, and it isn't either of these things truly. It's even outside of our personal priorities and our sense of lack or of abundance. It's beyond that. And this cup, unironically, is being pictured here. Right? There's our cup. So now I'm going to turn this over and see what our cup is. The 8 of Cups in the upright. Okay, so when I've talked about the 8 of Cups before, it's a card that depicts walking away from what no longer serves you. Interestingly, in this card, what I always see is that it's a point of low tide, and it's in the low tide that these cups have all been revealed, okay? But instead of, what happens often, like, you're meant to be patient for a time, for a purpose. It's to reveal all of these cups. But that doesn't mean that all of these cups are meant for you. It's just kind of that idea of like, how could you know if it was really meant for you or not? And could you really move that far on faith without the knowledge that these things weren't what was really for you? Because perhaps all of these cups were things that you had really truly believed that you had always wanted. That there were things that you really truly believed that were the best for you and that were going to make your life so happy and that were going to bring you to this sense of fulfillment. But now that you see them all, you're like, you know what? I don't think this is where my fulfillment is. I think I'm going to head in a different direction. And the steps that you take, the way that you walk is within confidence. You've really moved away from this idea of having to keep yourself low in order to be protected or in order to be valid. Like, oh, well, I'm humble, so I'm a better person for that. That makes me righteous somehow. I don't recognize my own power, and that makes me pure. Like, we're moving away from that lie and that illusion. We're also moving away from this conflict of having to prioritize what is a feeling like we have to protect ourselves, and also having to prioritize the ways that we're going to protect ourselves. We have enough skills now and experience now and education now that we can really trust ourselves with whatever it is, like anything that the universe is going to give me. Where did I see that? I saw it somewhere, which it was a really good reminder, but anything that the universe is going to give me is for my path. I think I actually saw it at a client's house today, that the universe isn't going to give you more than you can handle. What did it say? If God has put you in it, then God will pull you through it. Something like that. But that is the concept, that like we don't have to fight anymore. We don't have to prove ourselves. We don't have to, feel this sense of lack. We also don't have to wait on some sense of abundance. We don't have to be on the defense We don't have to be on the offense. We don't have to constantly be balancing all of these things. When we give ourselves the right cup, we find ourselves able to walk away from all of these other cups that didn't truly serve us. That's another thing I saw today where it was like, love yourself, always love yourself more than you need someone else's love, essentially. And like, truly, because you can't control anyone else. So if you need of someone else more than you need of yourself, you're putting yourself in a very dangerous situation of potentially not having your needs met. When ultimately, and just being deflective of yourself, when truly, if you are in perfect alignment with the universe, you're always going to be cared for. You will always have what you need. I don't care if you lose everything. If you lose your capacity to walk, to talk, to move, to function, the universe is still going to provide for you what it is that you need. Even if it's in death, even if it's in some other reality. Like, that's, everything that happens to you is within your path. And if you can just trust in that, then like you don't end up feeling so overwhelmed. You don't end up making karmic choices. You don't end up, being in this position of constant struggle, constant survival. You also can embrace your experience for all that it's worth, for the lessons that you've learned and now have to educate others with. You can be confident now that you have seen these cups and now that you have received your own from yourself to move away from those things and say, you know what, that's not for me. And you can be confident in that. You can be confident that like you don't even need something necessarily to replace it in order to be confident going without it. Like I've said in multiple readings now, don't settle for second best just because it's the best that you've ever had. The best you've ever had may still be second best in comparison to what you truly deserve. But it's up to you. Only you can determine those things for yourself. And oftentimes it does take this process in order to be able to say, it's almost like it takes this process, one, for divine timing, because it's within divine timing that low tide happens so that you can actually see all these cups. And that's really what you were waiting on all along. But it also takes this process in order to be in a place where when low tide happens and all of these cups are revealed, you can receive it for what it really is and for what it's really worth. And you can know yourself enough to be like, no, I don't want that. Because if you don't know yourself properly, and if you haven't given yourself this love yet, if you're still in this lack mentality, in this lack mentality, or in a state of indecision, if you're undermining yourself, or if you're being a little bit overly confident, you can easily fall for any of these cups. Hell, you might not even wait for low tide. You might just take the two off the top and assume that that's all that there is, not even realizing that there's something still just below the surface, even more valuable. 4 times as valuable, right? Or 3 times as valuable. 3 times as valuable. But even 3 times as valuable isn't as much as you deserve. It's not as valuable as you truly, truly deserve. But it takes being able to know yourself and really being able to trust yourself in order to be able to see those things for what they are. Because, like, if you know the 7 of Cups card, like, there's some weird shit in them cups. And, there's, like, 1 cup is full of jewels. 1 cup is full of a dragon. 1 cup has the Holy Spirit. 1 cup has a face that reminds me of vanity. 1 cup has a snake in it. 1 cup has a tower. Is that all of them? 3. There's 1 more. 1 cup has a wreath, like an award wreath, like the kind of wreath that you would put around a horse after it won a race. All of those things can seem good in some way or seem negative in some way, depending on how you look at them. But every single one of those could still be, like, none of them are the Ace of Cups. You know, none of them are that true divine abundance that you're really looking for. And like, if you aren't settled in that concept that the universe is going to give you that cup and that it's yours and that it's the greatest cup that there is, you could easily fall for any of these other cups where it's like, well, I'll just take the material wealth. Well, I'll just take the esoteric knowledge. Well, I'll just take the feeling better than everybody else, the fame, the fortune, the perfect partner, this specific job, like, and you could end up losing yourself. And then granted, if you lose yourself, you're just going to end up back on the bottom here, You're going to end up in one of these positions where, you're going to have to move yourself even into this position in the first place, just to get a sense of rationality. So it's kind of like Mario. If you fuck up too much, then it sends you back to like the beginning, if not just the beginning of that chapter, and like you have to go through all this shit all over again, even stuff that you did right and stuff that you did well. And that's the thing that's frustrating about it too, is because like I've been around for a really long time. It's not because I'm a super smart, super wise person that's this old soul. I'm an old soul because I'm a dumb fuck that's had to go through these karmic cycles so many times and still not understood them. Let's be clear on that. And when you go through these things, like at least for me, the biggest things that I've noticed is that like when you go through these things multiple times, all of a sudden, like something that you did right the first time, you'll question come the second time because you don't know exactly how it was you fucked up. Even you do know, but like it just gets, sometimes it just gets laborsome, sometimes it's just exhausting, but sometimes it's like you just start to doubt yourself and question yourself because you've been through it so many times where it's like, okay, it was this the reason I was fucking up because I did it this way. Maybe I'm supposed to do it this way. When like now you have to go back through this all over again because that wasn't what you were supposed to do. You were doing everything right. It was this other thing. It can get so convoluted so easily, and it will be incredibly disheartening. And not only will you keep putting yourself back at the beginning, you'll also keep losing out on that energy to the point where now you only have one life to live, and you're just fucking risking everything because it just seems hopeless. You don't want to put yourself in that position. You want to recognize that you truly are an eternal being, experiencing all of this for the billionth fucking time. And value that and embrace that and honor that. But don't identify yourself by it to such a degree that you can't see yourself truly, because like the cup that's being given here by us into ourselves, because this was in this came out sideways, this cup is one of the ones that's not seen here. It's not one of these cups. It's something greater than that. Truly, in and of itself, is the cup of the divine. Now, no, we are tangible, but at the same time, we are the divine. And those things are connected. We have to embrace that. Otherwise, we just keep putting ourselves through these lessons. And when we don't see them as lessons and when we don't embrace them as lessons, it feels like burdens. It feels like torture. Like if you don't know the lesson that was being taught, a quiz is gonna feel like torture. It's gonna feel like I'm being set up to fail. But you were set up to succeed. You just didn't do the work. A quiz only exists because you're supposed to already have learned that information. And so if you realize that life is quizzing you, it's testing you, and you're wondering what lesson you're trying to learn, like, were you not paying attention? You should have been paying attention because you're not going to get tested on stuff you haven't been taught already. So if you realize that you're being tested, maybe go back and consider what it is that you've been learning recently. What is all of this? Now, see, this is something that I wanted to talk about in maybe a read or maybe just a video at all. And maybe I'll do it tomorrow, just as a video instead of a read. you know, I tend to do it every year, and normally it just comes naturally because the end of the year tends to be super hard and I get super introspective naturally. But I've been doing better about that to some degree, to the point that like now it hasn't fully come naturally, and I really need to make the point to just consider what this year has been, what all I've been through this year, what it's felt like, what it's been like, what it means to me, and then kind of summarize it all. What did this year stand for? What did I learn this year? What was it all for this year? And what would I like to see out of next year in comparison? What would I like to take from this year and apply in order to see myself where I'd really like to be next year? It's easy to get away from those things, and this year was so strange to me that way because it wasn't as hard as last year by any stretch of the imagination, and I feel like the couple years even before last year were also incredibly hard, and it almost felt like they just kept getting harder and harder. This year has been like a break, a respite in comparison, but it's still been a lot of hard work. It's been like these very subtle, deep decisions I've had and made that seemed so entirely conflicting on such a soul level. Like, it wasn't even the physical stuff, like, you'll be fine if you do this, you'll be fine if you do this. But what that decision will do is it's gonna change your life one way or the other. You can either change your life this way, you can change your life this way. It's gonna be fine regardless, but make that choice as to what it is that you really want. And I have always not been the most decisive person. I don't like to be. I like to leave my options open. I like to feel free. That's what freedom has always felt like to me. The universe is teaching me that it's something deeper than that, and it's something different than that. And like, it's not helpful for me to cling so tightly to these concepts that I have crafted out of my experiences that way, that in fact I'm being called to kind of release all of those things at this point so that I can receive something so much greater, right? So that I can receive something so much greater, but we don't see it. We don't see it yet. We just have to trust. We just have to move in that direction, knowing it's there. You know, it's kind of like the Fool card, only right now we're able to see all of the things that we're walking away from and what they meant. And, you know, we're still making that decision to continue to move forward. It's not easy. Adventures aren't necessarily known for being easy. And they're not always fun. At the time, in retrospect, they can be great stories to tell. But they are worth it. They are worth it. I love adventures. I don't really know what to make of this one I'm currently on or about to be on. I don't know what it looks like or what it's going to look like. But I'm willing to embrace it. Within rationality, I imagine that it's going to look a bit different than it ever has. And I can dig that. I can dig that. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. I don't know for what exactly. I'm ready for anything. I'm ready for anything. I don't know what actually is coming, but I'm ready for it. Put 'em up, put 'em up. I'm ready for it. Okay, so yeah, I think that that's the best that I can give you, is to reflect on this year. That's what I'm going to be doing, and that's what for sure I'm going to do tomorrow. So maybe if you take the time to do it, you can do it with me for the next video that I post. But a reflection. What has 2024 been like? What has it meant to you? I'm probably going to end up writing down a lot of what's happened, kind of like a little timeline of how things have been, and then I'm going to look at that and just be like, fuck. Like, look at that. Like, man, that's actually a lot more than I thought. And maybe less than I thought. Different, for sure. because it's, you know, I've kind of just been coasting through things, really. And I think that that's what's made decision making so difficult. And that's why I'm in the position I'm in now, where the universe is like, okay, well, the wheel is turning, and no longer is it about really fully coasting. You've had this little break, you've had this peace. I don't believe that the universe is moving me into something like I've been through in the past. I don't believe that it's being like, okay, you've had this little bit of break, back onto the bullshit. I don't think I'm ever going back that way. I believe wholeheartedly that I'm moving into something greater than I have ever been able to conceive of. This year alone has brought moments where I was able to look back, even in tiny little glints, at my life and remember when I was trying to kill myself at 8 years old, never even seeing myself be able to make it to this age, let alone be happy at this age, let alone be healthy, you know, be like, I'm not on drugs, I'm not like having sex, I'm not like, you know, getting abused. I've gotten so accustomed to these things in such a way that, like, it's almost hard to put myself back into that mindset where, like, I really believed that those were things that I was going to be stuck to forever. I didn't think I was going to live to be this old. And I thought that I was going to, like, die in a pretty fucked up way. There's still a chance. Don't get me wrong. But, like, I mean, I didn't even think I was going to live past 16. I didn't think I was going to live past 21. I didn't think I was going to live past 27. I didn't think I was going to live past 30. I didn't think I was going to live past 33. I finally settled into just being alive. I'm okay with that. I also, like, was very scared for the longest time because I got so used to thinking I was going to die that I was like, by the time I finally am just, like, okay with being alive, I'm going to fucking get taken up in a chariot of fire. But it didn't happen. It didn't happen. I've been incredibly blessed to be able to actually experience a life that I'm proud of in so many different ways, and that I can be genuinely happy with, and that I can look forward to things and actually work towards those things. I mean, unfathomable, truly unfathomable from where I've been in my life. And to not have anybody supporting me for so long, and nobody caring about those things, and nobody knowing what I was going through, and to have survived that, and to be where I'm at, like, it's crazy. And I can look back at this year and be like, damn, I am really proud of myself. Like, I don't even know how to fully embrace that feeling, to be honest. But it does make me love myself. Like, I love you so much. Like, I love me. Like, I did this because I love me. And I love me so much for having done this for myself. And, like, what a weird, you know, it's like looking at my inner child and being like, you were always worth it. I'm so sorry I didn't treat you that way. But I'm thankful that you held on, and that you did the work, and that you kept holding on to faith even though there was no reason for it. It didn't make any sense. But the reason for it was because I knew deep down in my heart that I would be here today, exactly where I'm at, able to look back at myself and say, I love you. I used to haunt myself in my sleep. Me, like right now, used to haunt myself as a child. I was a ghost. I was a ghost of myself, and I would come to myself in the astral realm. I literally would have dreams. I would see, like, shadow people and shit like that, but it wasn't. It was me. It was me in my subconscious now. It was me in my spirit now, going back to myself as a child and holding my hand and saying, it's okay. Don't be afraid. All of this is going to be so scary. It's going to be scary. You're going to be on the edge of dying a lot. It's going to be really, really wild, and there's going to be so many times that you do not think you're going to make it. But you are going to make it. I promise you, I know that you're going to make it because I'm right here, right now with you. Believe in yourself. I believe in you. I'm right here with you. I will be right here with you the whole time. I love you so much. And I'm looking out for you. Even when it doesn't feel like it. Even when the stuff doesn't make sense. Even when you're so certain you're going to die, you're not going to. You're not going to. And it's going to feel like a bitch. Sometimes you're really going to wish that you did die. But you won't always feel that way. You won't always feel that way. And there's going to come a day where you can look back at your life and say, man, I made it. I did it. I'm so proud of myself. If you're not there yet, like I've already said, like I generally tend to go out just before the rest of them. You know, I'm no different than anybody else. A little denser. That's the reason that I was sent out even before myself, right? So if you're struggling to feel these ways, but it's something that you've always wanted to feel, it's coming. It's coming, but take that time to really see yourself, to look back at your past, and to look at yourself in the future. Understand that the things that have been haunting you are you trying to get a hold of yourself and trying to wake yourself up to your reality. You know, those things may bring you down, but just keep pushing. Just keep pushing. It'll be worth it. One day it's going to be worth it. I promise. I promise. I've seen it. I've done the work. I know that it exists. I know that it exists. It's like as if you were going to Oz and making this long journey and everybody kept being like, I don't think Oz even exists. I think that's all just a figment of your imagination. I don't think that's even real. Yeah, I heard it my whole life. And I'm here right now telling you that it's real. But it's not some dude behind a mask, behind a sheet, pretending to be some way. Like, it's for real. Like, the streets really are paved with gold. The dirt you walk on is more valuable than anything you could imagine. It's real. You just have to keep trusting, keep believing. Let that seed be planted. Let it harvest inside of you. Let it grow. You know, cut those weeds out. Get rid of all those stones. Water it, care for it, give it light. Don't shut it away. Don't hide it away. Love that part of you. Care for that part of you. It is so worth it. So worth it. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for listening. I hope that this, as always, is a blessing for you. If not now, in the very near future. That you can see it, that you can feel it, that you can rest assured in it, that you can know, and that you can have yourself filled with gratitude that way. I'm trying to think of what the phrase was. It said, gratitude turns the things we have into it's like the things we need, the things we want, the things we love. I can't remember what it actually said. But yeah, gratitude is definitely the key to happiness. Cultivate it within yourself. It's okay if you're not great at everything right off the bat. It's okay to be fucking 35 just figuring things out for the first time. It's okay to be 55 just figuring things out for the first time. It's okay to be 85 and on your deathbed just now figuring things out for the very first time. Better now than never. For real. Don't beat yourself up. Love yourself. Be patient with yourself. Give yourself some gratitude. Give the universe some gratitude for bringing you here to be able to give yourself some gratitude. And, yeah. All right. That's all I got for you. Thanks. I got a day, but, yeah. All right. I love you. Thank you. I'll see you soon.